Some are destined to be a beacon of hope, a titan protecting those who follow them, while others become a harbinger of fear, a terrifying force against all their enemies, and some are chosen to raise the flag, a sacred right granted only to a select few. A single trial determines who carries this symbol, a test to prove who is the strongest. And throughout history, these chosen individuals have been known by a legendary title. A title reserved for the absolute best of each generation, the very pinnacle of strength. A young man named Shoichi lectures someone unseen, stressing that this is no easy feat. But his target simply stomps onto a wooden raft, clearly not listening to a single word, revealing a massive goblin-like brute who mockingly comments on the weather while dragging a captive. This brute, Hideio, grins menacingly, declaring today is the day he becomes a flagbearer. His gaze falling upon a group of travelers below, the key to making his dream come true. Meanwhile, the traveler's captain discusses a valuable relic, anticipating a very high price for it, and a younger man in a cap tile guarantees its immense value with his very life. Hideio suddenly crashes down before them, demanding the gold from Tile and telling the others to flee. Tile freezes in shock, recognizing the infamous Azurian menace and wondering how he found them. A single, violent slash cuts through the pirates, leaving the guide standing alone in the carnage. Behind him, a demonic figure materializes, claiming he never forgets the scent of a dear friend. This pale monster glares, disappointed his so-called friend would side with such useless pirates. With a menacing grin, he makes his one demand perfectly clear: take him to the relic. This guide sweats, realizing with dawning horror that some betrayals are simply inevitable. Meanwhile, a hulking blue giant and his companion trek through a desolate canyon on their quest. In a dark cave, the red-haired accomplice drags a heavy sack, nearing their secret destination. He suspects the relic's immense power is what keeps this entire island eerily devoid of life. Later, the pale monster questions his partner, asking if he really had to kill the men. His red-haired partner scoffs, revealing he spared them a fate that is far worse than death. That ultimate fate, he coldly explains, is to be completely and utterly forgotten by the world. A new arrival steps forward, lecturing that death is an inevitable reality everyone must face. Appearing beside the pale monster in a gust of wind, he announces they have finally arrived. Before them pulses a massive crystal, the source of their shared wish for eternal life through remembrance. This leader turns to the captured guide, asking if the history-altering relic looks at all familiar. He stares in disbelief, recognizing the relic's purpose is known to every soul. This crystalline spear holds the memories of its original wielder, a power only they could command, and within its icy core pulses the overwhelming strength and memory of a legendary flagbearer. This red-skinned brute laughs maniacally, believing this legendary weapon is perfect for him, while his companion questions this revelation, wondering if a flagbearer has been forgotten by history. A man named Hideio ignores her pleas, his foot descending as she tries to warn him. But another man, Shoichi, violently grabs her face, demanding she reconsider her interference. He reveals his true, monstrous form, warning that all who oppose him are fated to be forgotten. And as if on cue, the wolf-like brute watches the relic descend from the sky, accepting this as destiny, his ghostly hand reaching out as he proclaims himself one of the chosen few. His dream of becoming a flagbearer is finally within his grasp, but the relic slams down with devastating force, missing his hand completely, shattering the ground and leaving both the brute and the boy in the cap utterly stunned. Suddenly, the red-haired girl shouts, desperately holding onto a rope connected to the relic, her face a mask of confusion as she tries to process what she has just done. A being wreathed in crackling blue energy descends from the heavens. This red-haired warrior watches in disbelief as this figure plummets toward the ground, but the immense power dissipates, revealing a young man with piercing blue eyes. He stands on the shattered ground, looking up at the sky for what seems like the first time, a strange sense of wonder crossing his face as he speaks to himself, finally confirming that the sky is in fact truly blue, and then he immediately collapses face first onto the ground, his strength gone, leaving the red-haired boy completely stunned by the sudden turn of events. Hesitantly, the warrior calls out and cautiously steps toward the fallen stranger, driven by an impulse he himself does not understand to approach this mysterious man, and he kneels down, offering a hand while asking if he is okay. Introducing himself as Shoichi, he asks for the stranger's name in return. This black-haired man admits with a casual pose that he has no memory of his own name. Taking Shoichi's hand anyway, brushing off the amnesia as unimportant for now. But the direct question triggers a sudden, chilling shudder in the nameless man. Shoichi is suddenly yanked away, his question cut short by the abrupt motion. A monstrous brute with a massive axe swings down with terrifying force, slamming the nameless man with the full brunt of the devastating blow, and stomping him into the ground with enough power to shatter the earth beneath him. Meanwhile, the boy in the cap stands over a captured and bound Shoichi, as the relentless onslaught continues against the mysterious stranger, but the brute's next swing shatters his own weapon against the man's body. Stunned, the attacker stares in disbelief at his broken axe, realizing his full force swing was met by something harder than pure steel. This nameless man stands over him completely unfazed, mockingly asking about the greeting, infuriating the brute who demands to know what kind of being he is even fighting. Even Shoichi watches in awe, recalling how the impact felt like striking a solid boulder, and the question of his identity echoes once more, leaving him to ponder it himself. He cheerfully admits he still has no idea who he is, much to the brute's frustration. Looking to the sky, he admits that while his mind is blank, a feeling of great loss remains. Shoichi scoffs, finding it no surprise the stranger completely forgot his own name, but a man from his past grabs him, stressing that a name is what gives life purpose. This red-haired warrior simply walks past, telling the man to go on his way, revealing his own journey is to make good on a promise he once made. In the present, Shoichi steps forward on the crystalline ground, ready for a confrontation, as the monstrous Hideio looms over him, mocking the weakling who dares to stop him. He clenches his fist, threatening a final end that no one will ever remember. But Shoichi calls his bluff, knowing Hideio only wants to exploit his dream of being a chronicler, a dream to write the stories of legends and cement his own place in history. With burning defiance, Shoichi declares Hideio's story is unworthy of being told. And at that moment, the nameless man's eyes widen as he finally recalls his companion's name, Shoichi. Back in the memory, Shoichi stands firm, embracing his fate as the one who never gave up. Enraged, Hideio unleashes a final, devastating attack with a furious roar. A massive blade of pure energy crashes down with world-shattering force, leaving the monstrous brute standing alone in the swirling dust of his own attack. A monstrous brute with a glowing red eye suddenly appears, questioning their interference. But the nameless man reacts instantly, swinging Shoichi to safety from the charging giant. He jokes that this is the second time he has had to save the warrior from that same foe. This man then chides Shoichi for his recklessness, pointing out he is clearly no match for the brute. Shoichi insists it was a matter of principle, a way to live up to the person he wants to be. His conviction earns the stranger's respect, who admits that kind of purpose sounds appealing. Looking to the sky, the Amnesiac decides finding his name is the first step to a new life. He then proposes a shocking deal to Shoichi, help him remember his name in exchange for his aid. Shoichi is stunned by the impossible request, asking how he could ever accomplish such a thing. This stranger simply smiles, admitting he does not know but feels Shoichi is the only one who can. With newfound resolve, he turns and declares that he will be the one to handle the blue menace. A moment later he pauses, admitting to himself he has no idea how he will actually do it. His sudden hesitation leaves Shoichi completely baffled by his strange and unpredictable companion. A horrifying realization then dawns on the man. His amnesia means he has forgotten how to fight. And just as he processes this critical flaw, a massive fist slams directly into his face. A powerful red blast slams into the nameless man with explosive force. And Hideio laughs with monstrous glee, unleashing his full power on the newcomer. Shoichi watches in horror, realizing the brute is acting with reckless abandon, yet the Amnesiac somehow endures the storm of crystalline shards erupting around him. While Tile grimly states that angering Hideio is a fatal mistake for this falling man. But Shoichi is stunned, noting the stranger has already survived 2 devastating hits. Lamenting the terrible luck that brought this mysterious person to such a dangerous place, he begins to wonder if this arrival was truly a random event at all. Could there be a deeper reason a man with no memory appeared right here, his gaze drifting towards the relic as he considers where those memories might be stored? Suddenly, Shoichi connects the dots, a man without a past and a weapon that holds them. He urges Tile to help free the relic, believing it is the key to everything. But Tile insists it is hopeless, declaring that no one can possibly stop Hideio now. From the smoke, Hideio emerges, admitting he got carried away with his dream so close. As elsewhere, the red-haired villain seethes over his own past dealings with a cowardly Shoichi. Tile questions what she ever saw in this mysterious man lying defeated before her. Hideio stares in utter disbelief, realizing his full power attack did nothing to him. This Amnesiac admits he may have no name, but he can sense something special in Shoichi. Recognizing that out of everyone present, the young warrior possesses something truly incredible. Meanwhile, Shoichi races toward the relic, determined to repay the debt he owes his new companion, believing the ancient weapon is their only hope of turning the tide in this fight. With a cry, he unleashes a super Shoichi punch, striking the crystalline spear. But the impact is too much, shattering the bones in his hand upon contact. Screaming in agony, he tells himself that he absolutely cannot give up now, launching a desperate barrage of punches, kicks, and even bites against the unyielding object. He pleads with the frozen flag to work, knowing time is rapidly running out, because if nothing is done soon, the falling man will surely die. From above, Hideio looms over him, mockingly calling his attacks weak and pathetic. Scoffing that someone so powerless has no right to judge another's potential. But despite the taunts, the nameless man smirks, having no doubts about Shoichi's worth. Exhausted, Shoichi admits that Hideio is far too strong for him to handle alone, and this crushing realization of his own weakness sends him into a panic. He desperately tries to rationalize his weakness, but knows it is just a false excuse. Reaching out, he desperately wishes the crystalline relic would finally react to him. With a final surge of hope, his hand clasps firmly around the icy weapon. Instantly, the relic erupts in a brilliant blue light, its profound consciousness awakening. Completely overwhelmed, his eyes widen in shock at the sudden surge of power. He is suddenly pulled into a mental void, a reservoir of memories captured within the relic. And inside this memory-scape, he sees the original wielder, an existence that transcended its mortal shell. This spectral wielder's piercing gaze seems to ask him a single, silent question. Who are you? Understanding dawns on Shoichi as he realizes he is witnessing a memory from the relic's past. A powerful torrent of memories floods from the weapon, pouring directly into his mind. This vision shifts to a painful memory, with Tile asking a defeated Shoichi if he is giving up, his younger companion's eyes burning with a challenging, unwavering intensity. A single tear escapes his eye, the memory serving as a bitter reminder of his past regret. A disembodied voice confirms that everything he has lost is right here. His name, his origin, and every piece of his forgotten past. Even the tales better left forgotten are contained within this power. Far away, Hideio mocks the fallen man, wondering what he is trying to accomplish. This mysterious presence questions his resolve, asking if he truly wants his memories back. With absolute certainty, the Amnesiac confirms his desire to know. Following the voice's command, he slams his hand onto the crystal ground, reaching out, bracing himself to reclaim the memories that were stolen from him. A strange, dark energy swirls around him, a power that manifests based on one's memories. This voice guides him toward the memories that created him in the first place, this very source of his strength, urging him to finally remember. In an instant, a massive pillar of pure energy erupts from the ground, and inside the light, a memory of a solemn promise echoes to always be by his side. This memory takes the form of a legendary Flagbearer, raising his massive standard with a roar. As the vision clears, the nameless man's eyes show a glimmer of understanding. This blue brute stares in shock, realizing the relic flew directly to the falling man. Shoichi stands completely dazed, barely processing that his desperate plan actually worked. From the swirling energy, the man rises, finally declaring he remembers his name as Sei. He grips the weapon, claiming it as his own and taunting the brute it was meant for him, revealing this flag was a gift left behind by the very one who created him. A triumphant smile crosses Shoichi's face, confirming his suspicions were right all along. Sei admits that while his own punch failed, Shoichi's actions were what triggered his memories, leaving the red-haired warrior confused, insisting he only hit the relic a few times. It was not the punches, Sei explains, but Shoichi's words about remembering that sparked the change. But Shoichi stares blankly, flatly denying he ever said such a thing. Believing Sei's memories are just scrambled, Shoichi is still relieved they can now face Hideio. But his hopes are dashed when Sei admits he just remembered he never knew how to fight. Shoichi erupts in fury, questioning the entire point of their struggle for the relic. Yet Sei simply smiles, thanking him for helping him recall something he should never have forgotten. With a proud thumbs up, Shoichi decides that as long as his companion is happy, he is too. Hideio scoffs from the darkness, declaring the relic is his and his alone. But Shoichi grimly acknowledges that Hideio will never surrender the weapon so easily. With his face seemingly tearing apart, Hideio confirms Shoichi's grim prediction. His very form distorts as he announces his time for playing games is over, clenching a fist crackling with power while vowing to remember Sei's name. This monstrous brute then roars that it is time to unleash his final, stunning form. Shoichi questions the sudden color change, while Sei recognizes Hideio is finally using his true power, understanding that with the relic free, their enemy intends to end this fight now. So in a bizarre turn, Shoichi begins teaching Sei the basics of fighting 101. He explains the core principles of combat, from maintaining balance to transferring energy. Suddenly, a figure dashes across the crystalline ground at incredible speed. And as an energy wave cuts through the air, Shoichi continues his lesson from the sidelines. Sei puts the advice to use immediately, dodging a massive sweeping attack from Hideio, using the ancient flag to gracefully deflect the incoming blast of pure force. A blue aura surrounding him as he pushes forward with newfound confidence. Hideio boasts that his new form grants him speed beyond what any fighter can track. Unleashing a furious barrage of punches, confident Sei stands no chance of dodging them. This relentless impact slam into Sei, a brutal assault meant to completely overwhelm him. From the sidelines, Shoichi can only watch in horror at Hideio's impossible quickness, desperately yelling for his companion to focus his eyes and finally react to the blows. He urges Sei to at least try to see the attacks to find some way to begin fighting back. And suddenly, Sei's focus sharpens as he finally understands what he needs to do. Realizing he must track the origin of the punches, he ignores the fists themselves, his gaze following the flow of energy from where Hideio plants his foot on the ground, watching it transfer up through his body, channeling power into his shoulders and arms. This entire sequence culminates in a single, perfectly formed punch aimed right at his face. A devastating blow that seems utterly unavoidable, carrying the full weight of Hideio's power. Yet Sei's expression remains calm, his eyes tracking the movement with newfound clarity, and in a surprising display of agility, he effortlessly dodges the attack with a simple tilt. Hideio's eye widens in pure shock, completely baffled that his attack was avoided. Tile watches in utter disbelief, realizing the Amnesiac actually pulled it off. Even Shoichi is stunned, understanding his new companion is learning at an impossible rate. But Sei just stands there awkwardly, holding the legendary weapon like a common broomstick. He recalls how Shoichi's struggle taught him to read the flow of Hideio's attacks, and with that newfound insight, he easily sidesteps the brute's next lunge. Following Shoichi's command, Sei rushes forward with a confident grin to close the distance. Hideio roars in frustration, dismissing the dodge as a mere fluke that changes nothing. A steely glint in his eye shows Sei is taking this fight far more seriously now. He effortlessly weaves through a barrage of devastating energy blasts from the enraged monster, leaving Hideio shocked that his opponent can already predict his every move. Sei calmly states that he can see much more than just the brute's simple attacks. Because every moment of this battle is now etched perfectly into his restored memory. With his past and present aligned, he declares Hideio will never land another blow on him. This monstrous brute just grins, amused by this sudden burst of confidence, taunting Sei that seeing his moves is not the same as having the advantage. Hideio sneers, promising to teach Sei a lesson about being vulnerable during an attack. To prove his point, he hurls a massive object straight at his defenseless opponent. But the brute is suddenly confused as the sack appears right in front of his own face. A powerful smack sends him reeling, caught completely off guard by the redirected projectile. Shoichi grins, revealing he anticipated Hideio's move and is here to cover Sei's weakness, creating the perfect opening for his companion while yelling for him to attack now. Sei leaps into the air, understanding the bag was just a distraction for the real assault. Channeling the power of the legendary Flagbearer whose memory now guides him. With this incredible power, he knows a single well-placed strike is all he needs, and he brings a supercharged fist crashing down onto the stunned monster's head. This sheer force of the blow shatters the very ground beneath them, sending rock and debris flying as Hideio is driven straight into the earth. A pained roar escapes the brute as he is launched backward from the devastating impact, leaving a massive crater where the blue monster once stood. As a pillar of energy erupts from the ground and shoots into the sky, Hideio's body smashes into a colossal mountain of ice with a deafening crack. Staring in awe, Shoichi remarks on the incredible power of a true flag-bearer. He can only wonder how much farther the brute would have flown without that mountain in the way. Elsewhere, a hand grips a cliffside as a new age in history is forcefully ushered in. This flashback reveals Sei's very existence was a ripple destined to change everything. As a mysterious red light streaks across the sky, it is clear he was not alone. In the eastern saving highlands, a lone observer watches massive creatures during their migration. Two new individuals appear on the peak, a woman named Shoi and her companion Nelu. He reminds her his duty is protection, not carrying her to the stars themselves. Together, they walk past a familiar glowing blue relic resting on the ground. A memory surfaces of Shoi, believing they were perfectly suited for one another. Her attention is suddenly drawn to a second falling star streaking across the night sky. With the crimson light reflected in her eye, she questions what she is seeing. Suddenly panicked, she shouts for an emergency dash, startling her stoic companion. Shoi sprints down the mountain, insisting they must follow the light, leaving Nelu confused. Tile smirks, recalling a hometown legend about a falling star heralding a new era. In a distant memory, a red star streaks across the night sky over a lonely cliff. Back in the present, Sei questions the strange blue energy flowing from the relic he now holds. Shoichi explains this power is an axiom, the ability to manifest memories into strength. He clarifies that to use the relic, one must remember something to bring its power forth. Understanding the concept, Sei slams the flag's base into the crystalline ground with a clang. A confident smile crosses his face as he realizes the original wielder protects him even after death. Meanwhile, Shoichi pieces things together, concluding Sei must have known the previous flagbearer. But this deduction only raises more questions, as he knows of every famous flagbearer to date. This thought that Sei himself was the wielder crosses his mind, though he remains doubtful, especially seeing Sei patting the legendary weapon like a pet, asking who is a good flag. Shoichi's mind races, trying to connect the man who fell from the sky to a legendary flagbearer. This inconsistencies pile up, an amnesiac who did not even know what an axiom was. Lost in his spiraling thoughts, the oddities become too much for him to process. Until Sei brings the flag down on his head, telling the dazed warrior to snap out of it. This scene shifts to an earlier memory, with Shoichi asking about some stones he might have broken. Explaining they are just old relics he collects as a hobby while handing one to Sei, and with a determined smile he reveals he gathers them to pursue his dream of becoming a librarian. Sei is completely baffled by the term, prompting his companion to question what he actually knows. Admitting he never asked many questions and wondering if librarians just collect rocks for a living, Shoichi's eyes light up with passion, excited to finally explain his life's ambition. Launching into a grand tale of adventurers and scholars who seek out the hidden truths of history, a group tied to the very fabric of dreams and reality itself, preserving what would be lost. All of their findings are safeguarded within an eternal library, a place built to last forever. Their one true purpose being to ensure the heroes of the past are never forgotten. He passionately declares it is the greatest organization to have ever existed, his voice full of conviction, but Sei just picks his nose, casually dismissing the whole idea as uninteresting. His companion comically collapses, completely deflated by Sei's blunt lack of enthusiasm. Yet Shoichi's resolve hardens, admitting that while it is not for everyone, it is his ultimate goal. Believing that preserving history is a far greater calling than becoming a legendary flagbearer himself, Shoichi fiercely declares his dream to become a librarian, even if it is deemed impossible. From the shadows, Sei remarks that having such a serious dream is a good thing. Suddenly, the crystalline ground begins to violently crack and splinter beneath them. This entire arena tears apart as the foundation gives way with a deafening boom. And Shoichi realizes the relic was the only thing holding this unstable place together. Sei, however, stands calmly amidst the chaos, watching the world around him collapse, looking up at a fading consciousness in the sky as if saying a silent goodbye. His eyes narrow with newfound purpose, understanding that goals are what drive people forward. And with this new clarity, he vows that from now on, he will only move ahead. In a sudden shift, he playfully points at Shoichi, deciding to tag along with him, his gaze turning serious as he offers to help Shoichi achieve his dream of becoming a librarian. Shoichi is left completely stunned, questioning why Sei would ever want to help him. But with a confident thumbs up, Sei insists he is just as serious about this as Shoichi is, explaining that since he has no direction, he'd rather focus on repaying a debt. A debt for helping him remember everything that was once so cruelly stolen from him. Sei explains that Shoichi was the one who reached out, helping him remember everything. But Shoichi humbly dismisses it, calling the memory return pure luck and his help a simple gesture. For Sei, however, that simple gesture was enough to make him want to do the same for Shoichi. Extending his hand with a grin, he offers to tag along and see what this librarian thing is about. Shoichi is completely taken aback, but Sei reminds him of their promise during the fight. A wide grin crosses Shoichi's face, admitting Sei is odd for trusting him so soon. Admitting he does not hate that about him, Shoichi firmly clasps his hand in agreement. Standing together, they officially declare their new partnership from this day forward. To celebrate their new partnership, Shoichi says he has something important to ask. A similar glint appears in Sei's eye as he asks his new partner what he needs. As the island continues to crumble around them, Shoichi asks if Sei can get them out of there. Meanwhile, Tal sits alone on a shard of ice, accepting that this is how she will die. But just as she accepts her fate, a hand suddenly grabs her collar, pulling her upward. Leaping through the chaos, Sei carries them both, explaining that us means all three of them. Shoichi's face contorts in comical shock, realizing Sei is holding him with one hand and Tal with the other. Shoichi stares in shock, demanding to know how the flag is just floating on Sei's back. Our boy casually asks if it is not normal, prompting Shoichi to scream that it is not. As they leave the crumbling arena, Shoichi calls Sei an odd one, which he takes as a compliment. A serious expression crosses Shoichi's face, his thoughts turning inward for a moment. And he questions if Sei is truly committed to his librarian dream, but Sei confirms their partnership. This aspiring librarian admits he wants to help Sei in return, not just chase his own goals, revealing with a determined step that he also has a personal reason for reaching the eternal library. He declares that if the library preserves memories, he wants his father to be immortalized there. When Sei asks if he has a father, Shoichi simply tells him to look behind them. But Sei insists he cannot see anything there, his eyes wide with confusion, until a flicker of understanding dawns in his eyes as he finally sees it. A memory flashes of him running, realizing he was forced to forget something important, and his expression hardens with resolve, vowing that he will not let that injustice stand. He quickly snaps back to his goofy self, telling Shoichi to forget he said anything at all. As the massive, ice-encased form of his own father begins to crumble, marking his first step forward, Hideio's monstrous form crumbles into the sea, a final memory of a world he failed to protect. Meanwhile, a massive ship with white sails cuts through the waves, approaching the icy island. A voice from the vessel calls out, announcing they are the librarian envoy sent for a messenger. But on deck, a masked individual shoves an older man, scolding him for yelling from so far away. This older man, Alfil, senses danger on the island, telling his companion Corva they cannot get closer. His scarred face is grim as he weighs their duty against the safety of his entire crew. Deciding the risk is too great, Alfil orders the ship to turn back toward the Eternal Library. This grand vessel changes course, beginning its journey away from the treacherous shore. From a high cliff, someone steps into view, watching the ship's sudden departure. Sei and his companions see the vessel, with Shoichi realizing it must be the librarian envoy ship. Tile smugly reveals it is no coincidence, having sent a message before Hideio captured her. She then questions how Sei knew where to go, amazed by his incredible hearing. But Shoichi cuts in with bad news, pointing out their ride is already sailing away from them. As Tile notes only an Azure could catch them now, Sei ponders for a moment before getting an idea. His unspoken plan seems to involve his two companions, who share a tense, uncertain glance. Shoichi cries out in alarm as he and Sei are suddenly engulfed in a cloud of dust. He nervously questions Sei's insane idea, sweat beading on his forehead. Their new companion reveals his plan is to simply throw them across the chasm. Below, a white-haired observer smirks, amused by the thrower's bold strategy. With green energy swirling around his hand, he confidently tells them to aim his way. Getting the signal, the black-haired man hurls them into the air with a grin. This pole they are tied to becomes a projectile, slicing through the air with immense force. Hurtling through the sky, Shoichi panics about certain death while Sei comically embraces it. Their makeshift transport soars through the sky with incredible speed and power. On the other side, the observer raises his hand, ready to catch the incoming duo. A strange light glows in his eyes as he times the catch perfectly. He effortlessly snatches the speeding pole from the air with a single, powerful grip. With a smirk, he compliments the throw, welcoming two more aboard the exam ship. His focus then shifts back toward the cliff, considering the fate of the thrower. A massive splash erupts from the water below, revealing the other man's own dramatic exit. On the librarian ship, Alfil grimly orders Corva to record the island's destruction. As a massive whirlpool erupts nearby, threatening to swallow the entire vessel whole. On deck, Shoichi and Tile lie unconscious, the apparent casualties of their landing. But Shoichi suddenly jolts awake, panicking over who might have died. He scrambles to his feet, desperately calling out for his missing companion. Peering over the ship's railing, he fears Sei did not survive the jump, until a massive column of water erupts from the ocean's surface. And Sei launches himself from the depths, landing safely on the deck. Shoichi's face breaks into a wide, relieved grin at the sight of his friend, while our boy lands perfectly, coolly claiming it was all part of his plan. Shoichi, however, is not buying it, winding up to scold him for the reckless stunt, smacking him on the head for the reckless plan that nearly killed them. He points to the still unconscious Tile as proof of the plan's flaws. But their reunion is cut short by the white-haired observer who has a serious request, demanding the return of the flag which he now claims as his own. On the ship, Alfil summons a dark scythe, his eyes glowing as he prepares to intercept something. His gaze locks onto the incoming projectile, a look of intense concentration on his face. But the sheer force of the impact begins to overpower him, his stance cracking under the strain. A flicker of disbelief crosses his eye as he realizes he cannot stop its momentum. His grip is violently torn away, his fingers pried from the speeding pole against his will, which continues its trajectory unabated, hurtling across the deck of the ship, until the white-haired observer effortlessly snatches it from the air with a single hand. This observer simply points, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to Alfil's struggle. Corva confronts the old man, accusing him of letting go, but Alfil insists he held on tight, admitting with a grimace that he was completely and utterly overpowered by the throw. This crew now understands the danger. A man who is not a flagbearer wields a flag with terrifying power. Alfil's expression darkens, acknowledging the formidable presence they have just allowed on their vessel. Corva suggests investigating Sei further, but Alfil quickly silences the masked subordinate. Unaware that a small, bat-like creature is hovering above, listening to their every word. Just then, the black-haired thrower appears, casually greeting Sei and explaining he simply followed the crowd. This water erupts as the observer questions the presence of a crowd. From the depths, monstrous sea creatures begin to surface with a terrifying roar. Tile panics at the sight of so many sea serpents, while Shoichi casually renames them. But the white-haired man warns that these are no ordinary beasts, noting the chaos they bring. He points to the pulsating red veins on their bodies, a sign of a familiar curse. These creatures are called mesmerants, beings consumed by a memory that is not their own. As Tal questions this, Shoichi confirms the man's grim explanation about their stolen consciousness. A dark vision reveals how tormenting memories can endlessly replay, corrupting the soul itself. This observer has never witnessed such intense madness radiating from a mesmerant before. His own eyes narrow, wondering what terrible event could have caused such a state. Suddenly, a memory flashes of a young man in a red haze calling out for his mother. This vision shifts to a desolate, blood-soaked battlefield where two figures clash violently. In another location, two individuals confirm this is where a star fell, finding only carnage. A red-haired, masked woman's gaze sharpens, recognizing the white robes of her observers. Her companion notes with grim certainty that their presence has now been discovered. A menacing woman pins a man down, sneering at the continued existence of librarians. With a crazed grin, she decides to add them to her personal list of things to destroy. A stoic man in white observes her, sensing an overwhelming and insane bloodlust. His visored companion warns him to stay back, declaring this an emergency situation. But Nelu calmly states that their response will depend entirely on the woman's actions. She clenches her fist, admitting their organization's purpose never made any sense to her, and with a wide, unsettling smile, she reveals their ideals always just made her sick. This visored girl is stunned as the woman offers a deal for information on Sei's location, giving them a chilling ultimatum: defy her and die or help her find her little brother. Nelu coolly dismisses her, claiming he has never heard of Sei and is the wrong person to ask. His foot grinds into the earth, declaring that such blatant hostility must be met with force. As his ally begs him not to escalate the conflict, he explains the choice is not his to make. It is entirely up to the red-haired woman, whose eyes burn with fiery resolve. Her eye gleams with a strange power as she asks if he is ready for her answer. But Nelu cuts her off, stating her intentions are clear and he will now fulfill his duty. Nelu recounts their sacred oath to remain impartial, only recording history, not changing it. But the Pin Man can only watch in terror as the woman mocks such naive ideals. His visored companion argues that when threatened, some records must be compromised to ensure one survives. Because only the records that return to the library can truly become cemented as history. And as a protector, he declares his duty is to ensure his partner returns, refusing to back down. This red-haired woman scoffs at their excuses, comparing their whining to a child blaming its parents, demanding they let her go, but Nelu's foot stays firm, stating their business is not finished. Through his visor, his eye glares as he vows no insane fiend will stop them from their duty. But she embraces the label of insane, accepting it as the price for knowing the bitter truth. And with a crazed lunge, she vows to burn her sanity and the world, starting with him. Back on the ship, the white-haired observer announces the librarian exam is still on with a new objective: survive. He explains to the candidates that overcoming danger is a fundamental skill for their profession. As a massive sea serpent looms over the deck, a testament to the risks they must face. Pointing toward the beasts, he commands them all to overcome this crisis to protect the future. This monstrous creatures then rush the ship in a chaotic assault and the test begins. Alpha reminds Korva their primary duty is protecting the ship and everyone aboard, but despite the chaos, he decides to adapt, his focus turning to his main concern, which is Sei, who is comically and dangerously swinging the powerful flag around on deck. Suddenly, a new challenger plants his foot firmly on the deck, preparing to act, launching himself forward in a blur of motion toward one of the massive sea serpents. He leaps into the air with a powerful jump, a streak of purple energy trailing behind him, striking the mesmerant with a devastating blow that sends it reeling back. This attacker, a man with dark shades, smirks confidently at his impressive handiwork. While a woman named Isitsana effortlessly rides another beast, finding the librarian exam too easy. Two other exam participants watch her display, one of them unimpressed by her flashy moves. Elsewhere, another candidate trembles in fear, questioning how non-fighters are meant to survive this chaos. His terror is justified as a shadowy beast with glowing red eyes looms over him, ready to strike. Tile rushes to his side, trying to snap the terrified man out of his despair. But the man simply accepts his fate, ready to welcome death as the serpent's jaws close in, until a hand suddenly grips a weapon, dashing in to intervene at the last possible second. Tile grabs Shoichi's arm, angrily questioning why he is putting himself in more danger for her. But he tells her not to underestimate him, boasting about his super Shoichi power. His eyes narrow with resolve as he simply tells her to work with him. Just as a massive mesmerant looms over the deck, its red eyes glowing with malice, Sei's expression hardens, preparing to leap into the fray himself. When Shoichi's eyes widen in shock at a sudden splash of purple liquid, this black-haired thrower soars through the air, slicing the beast with a powerful green arc, leaving Sei to remark that it seems his help was not needed after all. This mysterious warrior lands gracefully on the deck, his massive weapon at the ready, announcing with a grim look that he has come to bring someone back. This newcomer is revealed to be Rokiro, and he is looking directly at Shoichi. A look of pure shock crosses Shoichi's face as he utters the man's name, prompting Sei to ask his friend if he knows this mysterious arrival. Rokiro ignores the question, instead identifying Sei by his face as Hideio's son, then cruelly adds that he is just as ugly as the rumors say, shattering Sei's composure. Sei's mind comically fizzes out from the overwhelming chaos of the situation, just as a menacing newcomer appears, vowing to take Hideio's head for kidnapping his brother. Tile desperately tries to explain it is all a misunderstanding to the man she calls Rokiro, but he silences her with a stomp, insisting they will talk only after he has secured them. Suddenly, the white-haired observer intervenes, his green aura flaring as he confronts Rokiro. He declares that Sei is his responsibility for the exam and must not be disturbed. Rokiro's eyes narrow, realizing this old man is powerful and a new, unexpected obstacle. A difficult choice now hangs in the air as he reconsiders his aggressive approach. From the ship's railing, Tile attempts to clarify why Rokiro is even there. Her explanation is cut short by a massive surge of water erupting from the sea. A rogue wave crashes over the deck, sweeping her off balance in a rush of foam. Sei is caught in the deluge, his face a mask of comical shock as he is drenched. This sudden chaos shifts Rokiro's expression to alarm as he sees what is happening. Tile screams Sei's name, watching helplessly as he is washed away by the current. Our boy sinks into the dark depths, pulled under by the overwhelming force of the ocean. Sinking into the depths, Sei is confronted by a green-haired warrior who scoffs at his title. His thoughts race, questioning if this is his brother and what Shoichi's connection is. This protector of these waters declares that Hideio's sins will not go unpunished, his eye glowing with power. Pointing out a strange detail, Sei's eyes do not glow in the water like theirs do. This warrior brandishes a blade, promising to teach the boy a lesson about family he should have learned long ago. But as he sinks deeper, Sei questions the lecture, finding the importance of family obvious. A notion the warrior scoffs at, claiming such a simple truth is a privilege only for the Aerys. He begins to explain the brutal trial of his people, a test of survival for every newborn, where they must learn to breathe in the depths or be swept away by the currents forever. A grim reality is revealed as most perish within minutes, their lives fleeting like water lilies. But those who survive carry the weight of the lost, and he reveals himself as the sixth son. A survivor destined to bear the burden of his 5 lost siblings and protect his only remaining family. This warrior then accuses Sei of trying to take that very family member from him, leaving the boy stunned. His fury exploding as he demands to know if Sei understands the source of his rage, leaving Sei to wonder why anyone would endure such a harsh existence just to live in the sea. A flashback reveals Rokiro diving toward Hideio, vowing to protect his people from monsters. He drives his blade through Hideio's neck, declaring death to all who defy the Aerys' values. This force of the blow sends his target plummeting into the dark depths below. With glowing eyes, Rokiro claims he granted Hideio a mercifully swift end unlike him. A cloud of sediment erupts from the impact on the ocean floor, obscuring the view. But Rokiro's confidence wavers as he senses something is terribly wrong, his eye narrowing. From within the murky depths, a silhouette slowly begins to rise from the dust. Hideio stands completely unharmed, acknowledging the emotional weight behind Rokiro's attack, leaving his attacker stunned that a direct hit to the neck did absolutely nothing. His thoughts turn to the very reason for their conflict as he mutters about family, then reaches out, explaining how highly he values the bonds between loved ones. A powerful aura surrounds Hideio as he vows to prove Shoichi is in good hands. But this declaration only enrages Rokiro further, who screams that he has heard enough lies. Back in the present, Shoichi desperately tries to get a despairing Tile to safety, prioritizing her over the missing Sei just as Sei's abandoned flag begins to rumble with power. A red-haired woman's eye widens in confusion at the sudden turn of events. With a powerful stomp, she shatters the deck of the ship. This immense force sends the entire vessel careening through the churning sea. Underwater, a green-haired man dashes forward, declaring that teaching was meaningless. He surges through the depths at incredible speed, a blur of motion and intent. But his eyes widen in shock as something unexpected appears before him. A hand wreathed in dark, cosmic energy reaches out to intercept his charge. His momentum is suddenly and completely halted in the water by an unseen power. Now gripping a familiar staff, he suggests they introduce themselves before fighting. And Sei calmly clarifies his name is not Hideio, mentioning a promise made to Shoichi. This green-haired man sizes up his opponent, sensing an immense power radiating from the boy. He finally understands this entire confrontation is about the legendary Eternal Library, so he launches his attack, vowing that Sei's only possible outcome is failure. Their weapons clash violently as he screams that Sei will not take his brother away. A massive explosion of pure energy erupts from the point of their impact. In a memory, Sei's eyes glow as he declares his companion is leaving with him willingly. A green-haired warrior lunges forward, but Sei parries the strike, shouting his friend is not his to take. His opponent's eyes widen, shocked by Sei's incredible speed and defiant resolve. But the memory of a past battle surfaces, recalling that Hideio was even faster than this. In that flashback, he easily tracked Hideio's movements, dodging a powerful swing from the flag. Hideio, however, closed the distance and landed a stunning blow directly to his face, sending the warrior reeling back through the water from the sheer force of the impact. Back in the present, the green-haired man scoffs at Sei's lackluster movements and clumsy swing, holding the unconscious boy while questioning the foolishness of thinking a flag was enough. This warrior continues his taunts, suggesting his own brother gave Sei false hope for impossible dreams, causing Sei to grit his teeth as the man calls his brother too weak to ever succeed. A dangerous pink light gleams in the warrior's eye as his frustration finally boils over, but Sei suddenly stands firm again, his defiance only fueling his opponent's growing irritation. Unleashing his fury, the green-haired man launches himself at Sei in a powerful downward strike. While Sei's focus sharpens, knowing that matching Rokiro's speed means nothing if his opponent can do the same, his eyes sharpen with resolve, knowing he must overcome a massive gap in battle experience. He recalls Rokiro's instant counter, a fundamental battle tactic he has never encountered before, which triggers a memory of Tile wondering how Rokiro could be so overwhelmingly strong. In that flashback, Shoichi warns her that any weakness at a time like this is a death sentence. A grim thought Sei agrees with as he smashes into the ocean floor to face his opponent. His opponent looms over him, questioning how he can protect Shoichi if he cannot even stand. But Sei pushes himself up, defiantly stating that it is something he is working on. This warrior declares it is too late for practice, dashing forward in a blur of motion, forcing Sei to parry a flurry of strikes, learning and adapting with every desperate block. Until he finally lands a clean parry, deflecting a powerful blow and creating an opening. Rokiro's eye widens in momentary shock that the boy actually managed to deflect an attack, yet that surprise quickly turns to a condescending grin, dismissing it as a single lucky strike. Sei realizes that despite making direct contact many times, he has not left a single scratch, questioning after 672 strikes just what kind of body can withstand such an onslaught. Then a sudden realization dawns on him, a glimmer of understanding in his determined eyes. Sei grins wildly, perfectly mirroring his opponent's fighting stance with his flag, leaving Rokiro stunned as he recognizes his own signature combat form, a move he copied instinctively, unaware of the latent gift he possesses, a power that grants him boundless potential by observing others, this incredible gift of perfect memory allowing him to learn by watching. His mind rapidly processing every detail of Rokiro's movements and style, he accepts that he is starting from behind but is determined to catch up, acknowledging that he is not yet worthy of the title of Flagbearer, but he is resolved to reach the level of his father and his friend Shoichi. Rokiro's patience wears thin, his expression twisting with irritation, his fist clenching as he accuses Sei of mocking his family's legacy, his rage boiling over at the perceived insult to his late father. Sei looks on in utter confusion, trying to deny the accusation, but Rokiro has heard enough, rocketing up a spire of rock to attack, unleashing the very techniques his father taught him to protect his family. A dark power explodes from Sei, vowing that his bonds and ambitions are his alone. His opponent's eye widens, sensing this strange and unfamiliar surge of raw power. This flag unleashes a massive beam of energy, tearing through the water with a deafening roar. Done with words, Rokiro surges forward to intercept the powerful blast himself, channeling the techniques his father taught him in a desperate move for his dear little brother. He roars that none of these things, friends, dreams, or future, are for Rokiro to take. This unfamiliar feeling sends a shock through the warrior, his eye glowing with surprise. In response, Rokiro unleashes his own ultimate technique, a powerful move known as an axiom. Their attacks collide in a blinding flash of energy, a chaotic blur of speed and power, and Sei grits his teeth, barely managing to block the initial strike, but something feels terribly wrong. A devastating shockwave powers straight through his guard, blasting him backward through the depths. This immense force of the axiom tears through the water, overwhelming his defense completely, leaving him to gasp in pain, finally understanding the true power behind Rokiro's signature move. Rokiro confirms his suspicions, noting that a true Azuri would have recognized his technique instantly. Looming over the defeated boy, he declares that Sei is not one of them, his victory seemingly assured. This green-haired warrior roars, questioning Sei's right to use techniques meant to protect his people. Our boy grits his teeth, knowing he has no choice but to block this final, decisive blow. A violent clash of red and blue energy erupts as Sei feels his arms suddenly go stiff. With a furious slam, Rokiro declares that using these skills tramples on his father's legacy. But a single hand reaches through the chaos, touching the swirling pink energy of the attack. It firmly grabs the source of the power, halting the devastating strike in its tracks. Inside this energy, visions of other people suddenly flash through the warrior's mind. This resulting shockwave erupts from the impact, shattering massive rock pillars on the ocean floor, even sending a small, blue spirit-like creature tumbling away from the destruction. On the ocean floor, Sei lies motionless, seemingly overwhelmed by the sheer force of the blow. Looking up from the depths, he recognizes the shockwave but realizes the feeling in his arm was different. His arm felt impossibly heavy, and he understands this is the memory Rokiro has forged into his strength. Then a shadowy form with glowing eyes materializes, the very embodiment of the immense weight this warrior bears. Sei finally understands that Rokiro carries the lives of his fallen siblings and the duty to protect the one who remains. He reflects that after so much loss, having a surviving sibling must feel like a miracle, a gift never taken for granted. Sei explains the techniques were a gift from Rokiro's father to protect his family, admitting those were the very skills he was trying to take for himself. By grabbing the spear during the attack, he saw something incredible. He tells the warrior that he witnessed all of his memories in that single moment. Rokiro's eye glows with disbelief, questioning if the boy has completely lost his mind. But Sei's apology catches him off guard, a sudden shift in the confrontation's tone. Lying on the seafloor, our boy clarifies he never meant to disrespect his father's legacy, instead simply acting rashly without understanding the history behind Rokiro's strength. This green-haired warrior coldly asks if there is anything else he has to say, his anger returning as he lists Sei's crimes, taking his brother and trampling on memories. Rage consumes him as he roars, demanding if an apology is meant to fix everything. With a calm resolve, Sei says no, explaining he only wants to take responsibility. He reveals his true goal was to lessen the immense weight his opponent carries, and clenching his fist, he declares this is not him giving up his life at all. It is a promise to protect Shoichi with everything he has, just as Rokiro would. Rokiro stands amidst the churning water, demanding Sei take responsibility for his actions. As the surrounding rock pillars crack and splinter from the force of their battle, he tells Sei there is one final question he must answer for all this destruction. His piercing gaze narrowing, realizing the disaster was not Hideio's doing but Sei's alone. This warrior explains that the Azuri are not the only ones who call this ocean home, and that the countless lives here are now threatened by the chaos Sei has unleashed. Lifting the boy by his collar, he declares that ignorance is no excuse for this devastation, then hurls Sei through the depths so he can witness the damage with his own eyes, sending him rocketing through the water as a streak of green light, straight into the heart of a massive, swirling vortex of debris and dark energy. Caught in the maelstrom, Sei is forced to confront the true consequences of his power. While Rokiro declares his duty as guardian extends beyond his brother to this entire territory, he asks one last time, demanding to know if Sei is the one responsible for it all. With a heavy heart, our boy admits the truth. He was the one who caused this. Rokiro commends his honesty, but his grim expression suggests this changes nothing. A voice demands he defend his actions as his foot dangles helplessly in the water, and a single tear falls from Sei's eye, a silent admission of his regret. He confesses his ignorance, admitting he never knew the consequences of taking the relic, but with newfound resolve, Sei declares that he must now answer for his choices. This memory fades as he plummets alone into the crushing darkness of the abyss. Meanwhile, on the surface, his friends desperately fight off a swarm of vicious sea serpents. Shoichi looks down into the churning depths, asking Tile where Rokiro and Sei have gone, questioning her lack of concern and reminding her of Rokiro's overwhelming power. But Tile just grins, expressing absolute certainty that Sei will return safely. A blind faith the green-haired man scoffs at, calling Sei a boy who forgot his own name. Shoichi adds that Sei does not even know how to fight, making his odds even worse. As he presses her for a real answer, a splash of water hits the railing where Sei once sat, and her confidence finally wavers, admitting she only thinks he will be okay. Deep below, Sei awakens on the ocean floor, feeling the immense pressure crushing him from all sides. He realizes Rokiro left him here to die, believing it is a fate he deserves for his actions. Lying defeated on the ocean floor, Sei covers his face, admitting he is messed up. Memories flash through his mind, every word and action now connecting in a single thread. He recalls how some moments were the cause of new beginnings, like his time with her, while others brought nothing but a brutal, tragic ending. His own words about taking responsibility now feel like a cruel joke. With immense effort, he begins to stand, admitting he is not very good at this life thing. But a familiar voice remarks that he is awfully good at holding on to it. causing Sei's eyes to snap wide as he recognizes Rokiro's voice. Believing his opponent has come to finish the job, he reaches out to call for his flag. His enemy's voice cuts through the water, telling him it is no use, Sei, as the warrior declares that he will not be able to summon his weapon ever again, revealing he dropped it into the deepest crevice he knows, where it will melt in the earth's core. With a condescending smirk, Rokiro states they now have plenty of time to talk. This green-haired man materializes before him, demanding to know why Shoichi chose Sei. His fist clenches with resentment, questioning why Shoichi never asked his own brother to join him. This warrior demands to know how an outsider could inspire such earnestness in Shoichi's eyes, his glowing eye narrowing as he wonders what his brother could possibly see in this boy. Our boy listens to the bitter accusation, a thoughtful expression crossing his face, his hand rising to his chin as he carefully formulates a response to the warrior's rage. A faint smile touches his lips as he suggests the green-haired warrior has it all backwards, accusing Rokiro of being the one who only sees his brother as someone who needs protection. He then asks if the warrior ever gave his brother a chance to speak of his own dreams, revealing a memory of Shoichi confessing his dreams and fears of forgetting who he is. In that memory, Shoichi holds a glowing orb admitting he owes his very life to someone else. Sei explains that while he does not know Shoichi's past, he knows the kind of man he is now. He tells Rokiro that is a question for himself, insisting it was not he who brought about a change in his brother. It was the other way around, clarifying that determined look has always been in Shoichi's eyes. A dark memory flashes, showing a shadowy power twisting around a figure, forcing them to become a monstrous face emerging from the darkness as the figure is forced to become a flagbearer. A new voice cuts through the water and Sei turns in shock, recognizing the man as Hideio. A monstrous being covered in crystals emerges, a man someone thought was long dead. An immense power called reminiscence seeps from the crystals, healing his fatal wounds. Revealing this transformation has turned him into a terrifying creature known as a mesmerant, but he is being consumed by memories that are not his own, they belong to his father. This memories of a flagbearer now fueling his burning desire for revenge against an old foe. His eyes flare with a terrifying red light as he prepares to unleash his attack, extending a clawed hand that crackles with overwhelming purple energy. But his opponent's gaze hardens with resolve, bracing for the inevitable impact. Their powers collide in a massive explosion of blue energy, shaking the very ocean floor. And the smaller warrior recognizes the shockwave technique, but this version is impossibly stronger, sending him tumbling helplessly across the ground from the sheer force of the blast, leaving him coughing on his knees, struggling to recover from the devastating blow. This mesmerant's massive foot stomps down beside him, a show of absolute dominance, though blood drips from the monster's mouth, hinting at the immense strain of his power. Looming over his defeated enemy, the corrupted warrior reaches down to deliver the final blow. A massive explosion of blue energy erupts from the depths, shaking the ocean floor. And from the shadows, a monstrous blue entity turns, surprised to see his old adversary again. Hideio confronts the beast, declaring they have unfinished business regarding their dreams and legacies. But another man with green hair interrupts, suggesting they talk while already lunging forward to strike. He unleashes a blindingly fast punch, a blur of green light and raw power. This new speed is astonishing, a terrifying increase in power from becoming a mesmerant, and a strange prickling sensation echoes through his body as he feels this new strength. His attack is suddenly stopped cold as a hand clamps down hard on his face. Defeated on the seafloor, he can only watch as a red beam of energy rockets upward. This crimson light tears through the water, spiraling toward the surface with immense force, bursting from the ocean right beside the ship and sending a massive spray into the air. On deck, a red-haired girl stares in wide-eyed shock at the impossible sight. As high above the water, Sei appears at the peak of the light, his name cried out from below. His friends cannot believe he survived, spotting Hideio right there with him in the sky. While far below, the defeated mesmerant's body begins to bloat, a grim end to his sudden attack. A lesson flashes through his mind: air is the key to a flagbearer's speed. As he clashes with a powerful opponent, their weapons smashing together in the sky. But Sei realizes he cannot keep up, his opponent's axiom is just too fast. His only chance is to summon his flag, reaching out with a surge of blue energy. But his arm halts mid-motion as he feels nothing answer his call. A wave of panic hits him as he realizes his weapon is not coming back. Sensing it buried under an impossible weight, a pressure like the entire world, crushed deep within the earth, lost beneath countless layers of bedrock. Elsewhere, a red-haired observer notes that something is terribly wrong with Sei's flag, just as a brutal blow sends our boy flying backward through the air. This last remnant of his father begins to fade, the connection completely severed. Looking up in despair, he understands that precious memento is gone forever. But his red-haired ally grits their teeth, refusing to accept this outcome, screaming at him not to give up on the one who has been waiting for him this whole time. And in that moment, a single name echoes in his mind: Shoichi. Hideio's voice explains the flag was always waiting for the day Sei would finally claim it. Gripping the railing, he scolds the boy for giving up after just one pitiful attempt, urging Sei to call for his weapon once more with more strength than ever before. A memory of a promise surfaces that it will return no matter what stands between them, and a massive pillar of blue energy erupts from Sei, his true axiom finally unleashed. With a smirk, our boy admits Hideio always knows the right thing to say, questioning his own despair. This time is different, he understands, with the weight of the entire world now standing between them, his hand reaching through the void, desperately trying to bridge the impossible distance to his weapon. His bond with Shoichi fuels his resolve, declaring it the most precious memory he holds. While on the ship, Tile recalls a promise made between two other men in the past. A vow spoken by a man standing atop a defeated beast echoes through her mind. Her face twists into a confident grin as she repeats the final part of that promise. From the depths, a colossal pillar of light erupts, a power that will always be by his side. And out of the light soars a massive, winged beast of pure energy answering its master's call. Atop its head, Sei stands triumphant, his flag finally reforming in his powerful grasp. Shards of crystal float against a bright sky, symbolizing a shattered reality. And in this mental space, Sei recalls the lessons he has learned about consequences and friendship. He reflects on Hideo's journey ending so that his own could continue. Realizing Hideo was the man who sought the same thing he did, his father's flag. But in the end, that legacy was waiting for him alone, a burden he must now carry. And grasping the weapon's memory, he understands the library's purpose is turning memories into strength. With newfound clarity, he sees how all the pieces fit together for this final goodbye. He vows to never forget Hideo, whose existence and dreams will never fade from his memory. Far below, Rokiro realizes Hideo is heading for the surface, likely to attack his brother. And vowing to protect Shoichi at any cost, he rockets upward through the water. But stops short, his eyes widening in disbelief at an impossible sight. On the surface, Tile pulls Sei from the water, amazed he defeated Hideo twice. Asking if he is okay as our boy gives a weak thumbs up from the water. From below, Rokiro understands that this supposed weakling was the one who protected Shoichi. While a wide, impressed grin spreads across Tile's face, acknowledging he is full of surprises. Rokiro's eyes narrow with regret, admitting his failure to protect the boy. And acknowledging he has now failed twice, he dives back into the ocean depths. A memory surfaces of him deciding that Shoichi would be a better guardian for Sei, recalling a promise to a father that he would use any means to protect his son. Back on the ship, Tile relays the message and Sei just assumes Rokiro was too shy, while Shoichi remarks on the impressive splash Sei made, which drove the serpents away. With the path now clear, he asks if the two of them are still joining his crew. And both Sei and Tile shout their enthusiastic confirmation without a moment's hesitation. A warm smile spreads across Shoichi's face as he welcomes them aboard their journey. As the ship sets sail, Rokiro watches from below, finally at peace with his decision. Elsewhere, another journey begins in blood and fire as a man coughs violently, while an ally pleads with an aggressor, begging them not to deliver a killing blow. This wounded man glares back, urging his friend to stop and just run away. But a red-haired tormentor mocks him, saying his new blood-soaked look is an improvement, taunting that the color red finally reveals the truth hidden deep within him. A menacing voice declares that no human is impartial, mocking the librarian's desperate pleas, and the red-haired warrior screams for him to stop, but the villain continues his cold philosophy. He dismisses the librarian's values as worthless, his hand moving in for the final blow. But his ally intervenes, lunging forward with a blade of pure pink energy. His eye widens in shock as he realizes his opponent has simply vanished from sight, leaving behind only a strange sparkling object on the ground which he questions is an axiom. A strange energy surrounds him as he begins to understand what is happening. This librarian suddenly finds himself transported to the ground, safe at the base of the pillar. Back in the other location, the red-haired warrior is called out by an unseen person, while the librarian watches the pink particles fade, realizing his savior has vanished. That same pink energy materializes before the warrior, a voice apologizing for the intrusion, declaring that given their position, they cannot allow him to harm their members. A woman with elaborate braided hair fully forms, introducing herself as Aerys. And with a confident smirk, she prepares to address the situation as her opponent lunges forward, unleashing another swift strike with his glowing pink blade, determined to end this. This red-haired warrior mocks Aerys's direct attack, lamenting their missed opportunity for a chat, his glowing green eye narrowing as he comments on the fierce expression she is giving him. A monstrous grin spreads across his face, taunting her for looking at him like a wild beast. Elsewhere, the wounded Nelu is hastily bandaged by his ally, who urges him to hang on. But their conversation is cut short as a massive pillar crashes down from the sky nearby. This librarian's ally looks up in stunned confusion, wondering where Aerys could have gone. High above, Aerys and her pink-haired opponent are seen tumbling down the pillar's length, locked in combat, and her attacker realizes something is off, noting that she is not even trying to fight back. A knowing smirk crosses his face as he seems to understand her strange plan. While down below, the librarian's ally screams her name as the pillar smashes into the ground, yet Aerys appears beside him completely unharmed, casually asking if he is okay. She confidently explains that a fall from that height could not possibly kill her opponent, who lands in a cloud of dust far below, confirming a simple drop will not stop him. Her ally stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend how she survived without a single scratch. As the pink-haired man calls out from the crater, asking how long she will play this game, this red-haired warrior mocks her, claiming he has seen through her simple pattern of dodging, revealing she always teleports exactly 10 feet away, a predictable and fatal mistake. And Aerys calmly confirms his observation, unimpressed by his supposed discovery. With a confident tilt of her head, she assures him that 10 feet is more than enough space. enraging the warrior who screams that she will regret her arrogance in the afterlife. Her rescued companion panics, warning Aerys that their opponent is too dangerous and they must flee. But she simply decides to show this little miss the true, cruel nature of their world. This space between them suddenly stretches into an impossible, glitching chasm, far more than 10 feet. Revealing a cosmic dimension of strange geometry, a world under Aerys's complete control. This is the gap between a mere maniac and a true flagbearer as the warrior plummets helplessly, tumbling through the abyss while finally understanding the insurmountable difference in their power. Yet even in defeat, he screams in utter defiance, refusing to accept this humiliating outcome. While the librarian watches in awe, the entire exchange happening too fast for her to follow. In the blink of an eye, the battle is over, with the maniac brought to his knees before Aerys, who looks down on him, noting this must be his very first taste of true defeat. Aerys smirks with absolute confidence, declaring he will not succeed as long as she exists, while her opponent taunts her, noting the irony of a small distance revealing their vast differences. His eyes narrow as he recalls the rumors about Aerys, a supposed flag-bearer without a position. And she stands bathed in a powerful aura, a warrior he now admits is on their level. With a menacing glare, he asks if she is finally ready to concede the fight. Suddenly, a massive pillar of blue energy erupts from the ground between the trees, shocking the librarian at its base, who wonders what is causing this immense rumbling. Aerys's gaze shifts, her curiosity piqued by this unexpected surge of power. Far away, Sei reaches for his flag with more determination than ever before. And a look of understanding dawns on her face as she questions if this is his doing. This red-haired warrior smirks, finally realizing where Sei has been all this time. He scolds himself for his earlier despair, seeing Aerys watching him from a distance, declaring that with his little brother fighting so hard, he cannot possibly fall behind. Dark energy coils around his arm as he reaches out, calling Sei's name with renewed purpose. But Aerys holds him trapped in a pink crystal, reminding the stubborn warrior of his defeat. This red-haired warrior reveals his true target is something far behind her defense. He dismisses her as a mere obstacle, pushing forward with overwhelming force. And Aerys turns in shock as his crimson energy begins to bypass her completely, unleashing a devastating technique that seems to warp the very fabric of space. His eye glowing with a strange sigil as he focuses on his one true objective. Her pink energy barrier cracks and shatters under the immense, unrelenting pressure, sending the powerful librarian tumbling backward through a void of red chaos. As a conceptual weapon shatters, its power seemingly aimed at someone far away. In that other place, a finger touches the eye of a fallen warrior, a strange connection made, while Aerys's ally can only watch the red particles fade, sensing the attack's true nature. Blood drips from his own hand, a sign of the backlash from the enemy's power, and elsewhere a masked fighter scoffs, unimpressed by the distant struggle. Suddenly, Aerys reappears beside her comrade, who cries out her name in relief, but his relief turns to horror as he notices something is terribly wrong. A single trail of blood runs from her eye, an injury she does not even seem to feel. Aerys touches the wound beneath her eye, confirming she is actually bleeding. This single drop of blood, a testament to her opponent's surprising power, a sight that leaves the red-haired warrior momentarily stunned by his own success. But instead of pain, Aerys throws her head back and lets out a wild, amused laugh. Her companion cringes at the sound, complaining about her terrible sense of humor. This warrior remarks that after decades, she is the one to make him bleed again from his backlash. And Aerys acknowledges he did indeed land a blow, asking if he will press his attack. Surprisingly, he flatly refuses, deciding to pass on continuing the fight for now, a decision that makes her ally think her terrible laugh simply scared him away. As she questions his retreat, the warrior states he has another place he needs to be, admitting he cannot win in his current state but vowing to destroy everything eventually. Aerys calmly notes she also has a list of things to destroy, some more vital than others, and his eye glows with malice as he declares she is at the very top of his list. Finding his threat flattering, she offers to properly introduce herself to her future destroyer. This red-haired warrior reveals his name is Ine, telling her to remember it well. A mysterious scaled creature with glowing eyes vows that it will never forget what it has seen. Her ally lands hard on the desolate ground, an unseen voice simply stating its approval. Breathing a sigh of relief now that the maniac is gone, he insists they must return to the library. But his plea for a moment's rest is instantly rejected. The librarian exam is about to begin. This unseen speaker reveals herself, a woman with white braids, hoping for exciting new candidates. Back on the ship, Shoichi takes the quiet moment to ask Sei if he knows where he came from. Admitting the question is strange, but only because Sei himself appeared so suddenly out of nowhere. And with a cheerful shrug, Sei admits he has absolutely no idea, much to Tyle's exasperated sigh. He recalls being with his family one moment, then suddenly falling from the sky into this strange new world. A revelation that seems to strike a chord with Tyle, who listens with a quiet, thoughtful expression. A warm smile spreads across Shoichi's face as he tells Sei he is a good guy, catching our boy off guard. And Sei returns the compliment, prompting Shoichi to share his own story about collecting ancient artifacts. His story turns to one particular relic buried deep in the ocean, a tablet that always captivated him, which spoke of a legend, a man who fell from the heavens, his body built from a power fresh at the time. This legendary being was known as the Emperor of Life itself, his silhouette a mirror of Sei's own. Onboard Shoichi's ship, a crewmate shouts that their destination is finally in sight, revealing Aubard's scattered reef, the location for the first stage of the librarian exam. As Sei and Tile stand on deck, Shoichi orders everyone to prepare to disembark, and Tile's resolve hardens, knowing that despite her doubts, she can always trust Sei. An official announcement calls all contestants to land, where she hopes to find answers. Suddenly, a brilliant streak of light tears through the sky directly above them, crashing down onto the deck as a mysterious stranger makes a dramatic entrance. Tile stares in absolute shock, completely caught off guard by this sudden arrival, while one of the crew members demands to know who this surprise visitor is. This newcomer simply sighs, complaining about the effort it took just to get here. And crouching on the railing, he casually introduces himself to the crew as Johann. A blonde man in the crowd gasps in recognition, stunned to see such a person here. But Johann's attention is immediately drawn to the blue flag that Sei is carrying. His eyes narrow with interest, mockingly calling the important flag a mere accessory, and Sei glares back with sudden understanding, realizing he knows this man from before. A stern proctor declares everyone on the boat is a participant in the librarian exam, and he warns them not to stir trouble, his speech punctuated by a boy named Johann snoring. This proctor's sharp gaze detects no actual hostility from the sleeping participant, so he simply tells the crowd to ignore him and turns away to continue his briefing. Meanwhile, Sei explains he cannot just abandon Johann, who is dragging both him and Tile along. Causing a frustrated Tile to shout for Shoichi to get over to them immediately, Shoichi reminds her that this is her chance to achieve her dream, questioning her focus, and urges her to concentrate on her own goals as this is her one good shot. He insists that to win, she must be willing to cast everyone else aside, even him. With that, Shoichi turns away, declaring that this is where their paths must diverge. Following his lead, Tile also turns her back, accepting their separate journeys for the exam. Sei watches them, musing that this must be Tile's own strange way of being kind. As Tile tries to wake the still sleeping Johann, Shoichi tells her to just let him go. Elsewhere, Tile ascends a dark staircase, determined not to be a burden to Sei, knowing that everything, Sei's goodwill, Rokiro's blessing, and Hideio's life, is on the line. A new challenger declares his intent to win over everyone who shares his ambition, and among the crowd of contestants, all eyes turn toward the latest arrivals. Tile feels the intense resolve radiating from every single person in the exam hall. A voice apologizes for their group's tardiness, citing unexpected trouble on the way. With their arrival, a confident white-haired man announces the roster is finally complete, and a purple-haired woman smirks, eager for the competition to finally begin. This green-clad warrior muses about the type of people who would show up late, but his eyes lock onto Sei, surprised to see a flag holder among the contestants. This man, Richard, mockingly asks if the flag is some kind of joke, reminding Sei that every single gaze has been fixed on him since he arrived. Richard insists that no one here would mistake the flag's true, profound purpose, his intense stare fixed on Sei as he prepares to ask a pointed question. He accuses our boy of arriving with the intent to start a war, causing Tile to panic, trying desperately to explain it is all a misunderstanding. Her flustered claim that it is just a stick with cloth is met with a condescending smirk. A boisterous warrior laughs off the tension, claiming he was just kidding around, his attention turning to Sei's flag, which he notes lacks any recognizable crest, and he introduces himself as Richard, offering a handshake before their inevitable clash. But Sei just stares blankly at the offered hand, completely confused by the gesture. An awkward silence hangs between them as Richard waits for a response. Shoichi quickly intervenes, apologizing for Sei's cluelessness and introducing them both, and Richard waves them off with a smile, wishing the newcomers luck on the exam. Tile immediately scolds Sei, explaining he was supposed to shake the man's hand, whispering that they need to avoid attention, though they are already drawing stares. Another contestant with purple hair remarks that his cloth on a stick is hard to miss, before she declares with fiery intensity that she will be the one to stand out most. Her rival simply dismisses her boast, while others mutter about the rowdy latecomers, until an official shouts for order, announcing they are behind schedule and must hurry. He instructs all the contestants to form 5 lines for registration and information gathering. As a menacing, shadowy contestant steps forward, the proctor explains the questioning process. This exam begins with a registration form demanding each applicant's name, age, and origin. A shadowy proctor screams a bizarre acronym, terrifying one applicant with his intensity, telling him he is responsible for remembering it all, much to the applicant's annoyance. In response, another participant just shouts a different set of acronyms in pure frustration. While Sei admits he only knows his own name, and Tile advises him to just say he does not know the rest, an official then announces that all contestants will now be split into 5 different groups, each assigned to a door marked with a letter, and luckily Sei and Tile's match up. Their massive stone door creaks open, revealing a dark passageway to meet the rest of their group, and a guide dashes down the long corridor, warning the contestants to keep up or be left behind. Setting a blistering pace through the dark, featureless hallway, forcing the other applicants to sprint just to stay close behind him, and while some contestants struggle, Sei keeps pace with relative ease. They finally arrive at a vast white chamber, the first official meeting room of the exam, where he checks on an exhausted Tile, who quickly insists she is fine and can keep going. With their arrival, the entirety of the O group has finally gathered in the massive hall. A proctor tells the crowd of contestants to get acquainted with their competition, but a pink-haired official cuts him off, stating they are late and have no time for pleasantries. With that, another examiner announces the first preliminary for the librarian exam is beginning now, explaining it is an all-out rumble where taking a life is strictly forbidden. He reveals a single black orb, and whoever holds it when time expires is the sole winner. This masked participant's eye widens, the stakes suddenly becoming crystal clear. This test will only last for 2 minutes as the examiner drops the prize into the arena, giving one final warning that the timer starts the moment the orb lands. Panic erupts through the crowd, shocked by the sudden start and the brutal one-winner rule, and chaos immediately breaks out as contestants scramble, unsure of how to even track the time. A red-haired woman turns to Shoichi, asking for his plan now that they are all enemies. She looks to him for guidance, but his expression remains unreadable in the mayhem, while other participants are already fighting, screaming at each other to get out of the way. A blast of purple energy tears through the crowd as everyone rushes for the orb, and a hand reaches out, caught in the blinding flash of the first attack. A purple-haired speedster unleashes a bolt of lightning, dashing past the competition. She grins with absolute confidence, declaring that in a test of speed she is unbeatable, her hand reaching out to claim the prize orb as her own. But a massive stone pillar suddenly erupts from the ground, sending the orb flying high, revealing a blue-haired man who mockingly tells the lightning girl he will not make it that easy. As the pillar towers over them, he declares the real librarian exam has only just begun, and with the orb now in play, other contestants see their chance and rush forward. A hulking brawler realizes that whoever can climb the tower first will have the advantage, while another fighter with yellow-streaked hair crouches, preparing to make his move. This frustrated speedster weighs her options, wondering if she should just destroy the obstacle. But the spiky-haired brawler suddenly blurs right past her, seizing the initiative. He channels a brilliant yellow energy, his muscles tensing for a powerful strike, and smashes his fist directly into the granite pillar, shattering its base completely. Furious, the purple-haired girl screams that he stole her plan and the center of attention, while the pillar's creator watches in awe, remarking that such power is a rare sight. A confident warrior declares the falling orb is his for the taking. But the purple-haired rival uses another contestant as a launchpad, refusing to let him win, launching herself into the air with a burst of energy, vowing to outshine everyone else. Amidst the clamor, a pink-haired woman calmly counts down the seconds, unbothered by the fight, and this new contestant, Yulin, scoffs at the mindless chaos erupting around her. This rest of the crowd follows suit, descending into a panicked brawl with no time to strategize. But she explains to a timid-looking woman that this very panic creates an opening, a moment for someone like Aerys to see the bigger picture while others are distracted. Yulin notes her new acquaintance understands but reminds her they still have to join the fight, an idea that terrifies Aerys, who admits she is too scared to even move from her spot. She panics, questioning how a test of pure brawn relates to being a librarian at all. And in response, Yulin calmly explains that the world is changing and so are the library's enemies. As a hand reaches for the prize, she muses that some will stop at nothing to be remembered, and with that she finally makes her move, dashing into the fray where the light shines brightest, because the library now needs people who can survive in the darkness that always follows. Two powerful contestants immediately lock horns, their dark auras flaring as they battle for control. While from the sidelines, Shoichi's ally notes the battle now revolves around these two dominant fighters. Powerless to intervene, the other applicants realize they are just waiting for an opening that may never come. But that chance seems impossible. The two are on another level entirely, too skilled to slip up. With no way to track the passing time, knowing the right moment to make a move is impossible, unless someone was sharp enough to start counting the seconds from the very beginning. This pink-haired woman understands the test's design. The lack of a timer was meant to sow chaos. Having kept a precise count, she knows exactly how much time has passed, planning her move for the final seconds. And as the timer runs out, the arena explodes into a desperate, chaotic scramble for the orb. This entire test will be decided in these last 15 seconds, and she finally makes her move. But her eyes widen in shock, realizing another contestant had the exact same strategy. It is Shoichi, and he screams the signal for their plan to finally begin. Now Sei. Responding to the call, Sei's hand grips his flag as it crackles with immense dark energy, and he slams it into the arena floor, unleashing a devastating shockwave of raw power, tearing the ground apart and sending everyone flying, revealing their true strategy at last. With only seconds left, a gold-highlighted man creates a distraction to pull ahead, allowing the red-haired woman to leap past her rivals and reach for the orb. Their eyes lock in a moment of fierce, last-second competition, as another contestant makes a desperate jump for the prize, and suddenly everyone is scrambling for the same single point of victory. Multiple hands grasp for the orb in a chaotic final struggle, one gloved hand getting closer than any other to claiming the win, but it just barely misses, tipping the orb away at the last possible second. This prize thuds onto the ground as the contestants watch in disbelief, rolling away from everyone just as the final moment passes. A proctor's voice suddenly bellows that time is officially up, and the pink-haired examiner calmly announces the preliminary round is over. This red-haired woman stares in utter shock, her chance completely lost, while the proctor orders everyone to stand down amidst the chaotic aftermath. This examiner declares that, by the looks of it, there is no winner at all. This red-haired woman apologizes profusely to say, blaming herself for their failure, her eyes wide with guilt as she believes she is the reason no one passed the test. But the pink-haired woman interjects, explaining that winning and passing are not the same, pointing out the proctor only ever said holding the orb would make someone the winner. He never once stated that those who did not hold it would actually fail the exam. This examiner confirms her theory, adding the winner would have just received a hint for the next stage, issuing a stern warning to anyone who felt a moment of relief to think again. He reminds them the goal was simple: to hold the orb for 2 minutes, and the fact remains that all of them failed with no second chances from here on out. As he declares the true test is beginning, a confident contestant scoffs at the danger. But the proctor snaps his fingers, demanding they take the next step seriously. He announces a new rule: everyone must form pairs of 2 for the remainder of the exam, giving them only 5 minutes to choose a partner before the time is up. Shoichi smiles, telling his red-haired ally they are lucky to already be a duo. And the pink-haired woman realizes the preliminary was designed to let everyone find a partner. With the test over, Shoichi realizes Sei is now the most popular contestant in the room, and a chaotic mob immediately swarms our boy, with everyone begging to form a pair with him. This hopefuls descend into an uproar, arguing over who saw the powerful newcomer first, leaving Shoichi in despair as she realizes their plan to get noticed has backfired spectacularly. Clenching her fist, she knows his strength will naturally attract other powerful contestants. And she begins to doubt herself, thinking their partnership was just pure chance. But Sei turns to the crowd, politely apologizing for having to turn them all down, before offering his hand to Shoichi, declaring that his partner has already been chosen. Stunned, she questions his loyalty, reminding him this is his chance for a better ally. But he just smiles, saying he has no regrets about asking her to join him back on the island. Her eyes sparkle with emotion, completely taken aback by his unwavering trust in her, until he asks her directly if she thinks she is unfit to stand by his side. She immediately grabs his hand, shouting that of course she is worthy of the spot. Their dramatic reunion making the other contestants shudder at the awkward atmosphere. Watching from afar, 2 powerful rivals see their own plans crumble, their top recruit now taken. A single eye narrows with cold focus, processing the chaotic outcome. While one shadowy contestant is too intimidated to even question the proctor's decision, another applicant sweats, nervously realizing what this failure might mean for them all. But a purple-haired strategist calmly accepts the new reality, already plotting his next move. A masked woman theatrically declares herself the obvious choice for whatever comes next, and the other applicants agree they have better odds if they just choose a winner themselves. 2 fighters immediately form a pact, giving each other a confident thumbs up, while a pink-haired woman scoffs at the idea as her companion mocks her arrogance, leaving the purple-haired strategist feeling completely ignored by the new alliances forming. Annoyed by the oversight, he decides to take matters into his own hands, and dramatically points to a bandaged warrior, declaring him his chosen partner. This chosen man, Vilnir, looks up in confusion, mumbling incoherently from behind his mask. But his new ally grins, explaining he knows Vilnir's true hidden potential. He recalls witnessing Vilnir single-handedly defeat powerful mesmerants on the envoy ship, and with a manic grin he declares that together they will outshine everyone else. A purple-haired woman takes a bandaged man's confused nod as agreement to her plan, while 2 other contestants stand apart from the chattering crowd, isolated and alone, until the man in the cap suggests the 2 of them should form a pair. His stoic companion simply agrees, finding the logic sound enough. With their new alliance formed, the 2 stand together with matching unimpressed expressions. This capped man introduces himself as Tile, then asks for his new partner's name, but his question is met with a long and awkward silence. This gold-streaked warrior finally reveals that he does not actually have a name. Tile seems surprised, asking if his partner is not even curious about the reason why. But he quickly dismisses it, admitting he never really cared much for names anyway. An official in white and orange notes that all the contestants have managed to form pairs, announcing that the passageways for the first stage of the exam are now opening before them. Every pair must now choose a path, with one duo quickly making their decision. This proctor gives a final warning that there is no turning back once inside the gates. Stepping into the darkness, 2 applicants wonder what the first true test has in store. Shoichi and Sei stand before a massive door, the only thing welcoming them to the next stage, and she questions the strange, colorful designs, finding them odd for a simple gate. She looks up with grim resolve, knowing this is the real test with no turning back, touching the cold surface while still blaming herself for losing their earlier advantage. Her eyes burn with determination as she vows to make Sei proud of his choice, but he just smiles, casually asking if she is still worried about that minor setback. Determined to contribute, she declares she will open the door for them and grabs the handle, pulling with all her strength, only to find the massive gate will not budge at all. This struggle is completely useless, a sight that seems to greatly amuse her partner, so she finally asks for his help, which he readily agrees to provide. Elsewhere in a control room, an official announces that 2 pairs have entered the maze, while a second proctor confirms another team has entered a different section entirely. This lead examiner, Oslania, orders his quintuplet assistants to keep the contestants monitored, and his 5 identical color-coded subordinates acknowledge the command in perfect unison. One then explains their charm point is that none of them have ever changed their expression. A powerful woman named Aerys arrives, pleased that everything is proceeding as planned, but her attendant is surprised by the visit, teasing her for being a worrywart. That surprise quickly turns to sheer panic as a bead of sweat rolls down their face, their eyes bulging in utter disbelief at something they have just noticed, pointing frantically at Aerys's face and asking if she has been wounded. This attendant hopes it was just a clumsy fall, but Aerys calmly denies ever tripping in her life, leading to a horrifying realization: if it was not an accident, then someone actually hurt her. With a chilling smile, Aerys confirms their worst fear, admitting someone managed to inflict the injury, and the entire group of attendants erupts into a collective synchronized scream of shock. Her lead attendant cannot believe it, shouting that something is clearly wrong, pointing out that even the stoic siblings now share the same horrified expression. They demand to know who was powerful enough to strike her, assuming it must be a flagbearer. But Aerys corrects them, explaining her attacker was not a flagbearer, though she resembled one. A resemblance to the only other person to harm her, a flagbearer from 300 years ago. Her followers are stunned by her age, and she casually corrects them. She is 329 years old, to be exact. A white-haired official reflects on a recent injury, admitting it is a rare sign of his age. Stepping forward, he expresses hope that some of this year's contestants possess that same quality. Inside the passageway, a massive boulder suddenly barrels towards Sei and a panicked Shoichi. While Shoichi questions the purpose of these deadly traps, Sei seems to be enjoying the chase. Her face contorts in fury as she screams that Sei's carelessness is what activated every trap. Our boy just laughs it off, admitting he has never had to be cautious in his life before. Spotting an escape route, Shoichi points them towards a corridor on their left, and the two of them dive into the side passage just as the boulder thunders past them. Safely inside, Sei compliments his partner's quick thinking, much to her clear annoyance. Shoichi then questions if he has some kind of super hearing to detect upcoming traps, but he admits that in his current state, focusing on one sound would be difficult. All around him, the air rumbles with indistinct noises, overwhelming his senses completely. Yet Shoichi hears nothing, concluding that whatever he is sensing must be irrelevant. His enhanced hearing, however, picks up on something far more subtle and pervasive, a specific sound cutting through the chaos that puts him on high alert. Shoichi senses something is off with her partner, asking him if anything is wrong, but Sei plays it cool with a thumbs up, insisting everything is perfectly fine. He quickly changes the subject, pointing out a strange-looking room up ahead, while inwardly recalling a sound that resonated deep within his soul, a familiar noise that cut through the chaos as a small creature flies overhead. Elsewhere, Yulin and Aerys finally emerge from the monotonous hallways, exhausted, finding themselves in a vast circular chamber with multiple paths forward. Yulin immediately begins assessing the room, counting a total of 8 doors, and she also notes the floor is divided into 8 matching segments. A detail Aerys had not noticed, now wondering about its hidden meaning. Yulin reflects on their journey, remembering how previous dangers were on a single, clear path, but the new reality terrifies Aerys, who worries about choosing incorrectly. Her partner calmly confirms the wrong door will only lead to even greater threats, which causes Aerys to collapse, questioning if the test is just a guessing game. Through her tears, Yulin explains the organization would never design a test based on random chance. Yulin insists they need to think, certain a hint to the puzzle has already been given, and she recalls a pattern sphere from the preliminary exam, believing it holds the key. This clue, however, was likely meant for those who failed, making it useless to them now. Pondering further, she realizes the answer must lie somewhere between that test and this room. And Aerys suddenly remembers something odd, a uniquely designed door they passed through earlier. Her partner's eyes widen with understanding as Aerys confirms the first gate had a pattern, but the excitement fades when Aerys admits she cannot recall the exact design. Yulin just smirks, confidently telling her not to worry because she remembers everything. This floor maps they saw had distinct patterns, each pointing to a specific segment. Now knowing what to do, she tells Aerys to lead them to the correct door. Following the memorized path, they navigate through several cleared sections in quick succession. They finally arrive at the last door, with Aerys wondering if they are the first to solve it. Yulin explains the solution was simple but easily missed by anyone not paying close attention, calling it a dirty trick as the final gate opens to reveal a massive library inside. Aerys seems unimpressed, but Yulin warns her to stay focused as the test is not over yet. Yulin points out their exit, a single door at the end of the long corridor. Her partner Aerys then spots a set of numbers above the doorway like a timer. Speculating it is a countdown, Yulin also senses the very stone of the room is warping. A powerful voice suddenly greets them, commenting on how quickly they arrived, before correcting himself, saying they were actually 3rd and 4th place. This massive man, Veximus, offers his congratulations alongside his silent partner. His companion is a small, shackled girl named Amaline, looking utterly defeated. Veximus seems impressed they beat his team, but Yulin scoffs that the test was easy. Her gaze then falls on his chains, remarking that they must slow him down. He casually explains the restraints are just part of the package, a strange word that immediately puts Yulin on high alert. Veximus glares back, daring her to question what he means. This rising tension makes Aerys sweat caught between the two intimidating contestants. Yulin simply responds with a cool no, refusing to take his bait. At that moment, another pair arrives and Veximus glances over at the newcomers. A red-haired contestant celebrates, convinced he and his partner were the first to pass the test, and they exchange a thumbs up, crediting their combined genius for solving the puzzle so quickly. But his triumphant cheer is cut short by the sight of four other teams already waiting. A hulking man with green-tipped hair taunts a small, chained girl, mocking them for being too late. This red-haired boy's eye widens in pure shock and disbelief, his victory stolen. While his captive companion looks down, her expression hidden but her shame palpable. Stepping forward, the red-haired boy confronts the hulking man, calling him Stonefish Head. And he furiously demands that the chains be taken off the girl immediately. This large man glares back, questioning if the insult was actually directed at him, while a pink-haired woman coolly confirms it was, standing with her own partner nearby. With the girl's bound hands in view, the boy gives his final warning. He repeats his demand one last time, staring down his much larger opponent. A menacing aura erupts from the giant, who challenges the boy to make him comply. But the red-haired kid's eyes narrow with unwavering resolve, refusing to back down, only to scream that if his demand is ignored, he will do absolutely nothing about it. A metaphorical standoff shows Shoichi's fury against an immovable, chained opponent, but the hulking guard seems almost pitiful, asking if her plea is all she has to offer. She admits her own weakness, explaining that she can only ask for his help, not force it. Then turns with renewed determination, vowing to free the captive the moment she gets a chance. Her defiance makes the guard grit his teeth in silent rage, grabbing the restraints and taunting that she can try all she wants. But the shackles on the desolate prisoner are never coming off. Sei questions her decision to get involved, but she feels there is no other choice, as this encounter has laid her own painful limitations bare before her. Clenching her fist, she declares this is a reality she will never accept. So Sei reminds her they are partners meant to cover each other's weaknesses. She thanks him for the support but worries about becoming a burden he has to carry. Determined to prove herself a reliable partner instead of a liability, this guard watches her, dismissing the girl as an interesting but ultimately weak brat. Meanwhile, a pink-haired woman observes from afar, identifying only one or two major threats. Veximus sizes up Sei, finding the quiet flag pretender far more interesting, sensing a hidden beast behind that unassuming smile, one that was ready to pounce. But he dismisses him as a young cub with uncontrolled power, wondering why he is with a weakling. Changing his tone, Veximus suggests they all just try to get along for now. A sentiment the pink-haired woman agrees with, seeing no benefit in fighting here. But Shoichi furiously rejects any truce with the hulking brute. He demands Veximus release the girl and leave, just as a dark entity begins to materialize. A shadowy beast with glowing eyes stomps into existence before the stunned contestants, and it immediately dashes forward with terrifying speed, a blur of motion that Sei's eyes track with perfect clarity. This creature leaps into the center of the room, towering over the shocked group, prompting Sei's hand to tighten on his weapon's hilt, ready for a fight. Aerys screams in terror, questioning what these monstrous things even are, while Sei is already a blur of motion, slashing through the shadowy beast's form, reappearing behind Veximus in an instant, having passed him completely unnoticed. Veximus responds to the challenge by drawing his massive, brutal-looking sword. He swings the heavy blade down with terrifying force, aiming directly for Shoichi, and Sei screams her name in a desperate, last-second warning. Shoichi grunts under the immense pressure of the incoming attack, while a cruel, confident smile spreads across Veximus's face. But his sword smashes into the ground, missing her by mere inches. As Shoichi leaps back, barely dodging the devastating blow, she looks back in utter disbelief, completely stunned by the near miss, and Veximus mockingly claims he was just protecting her from nearby creepers. He inwardly calls her a liar, admitting he was testing the flag pretender's reaction. Noticing Sei's calm response, who correctly predicted the swing would miss, furious, Shoichi accuses him of looking for trouble, but he just calls it a mistake. But their argument is interrupted as a dark, ominous energy begins to seep from Veximus. The shadows around him coalesce into monstrous, glowing creatures, and a massive beast suddenly looms over Shoichi, emerging from the depths. A menacing figure with a glowing red eye admits his job has grown boring until now. He plans to enrage the young cub by attacking his partner as the ceiling begins to crack. His ultimate goal is to kill the boy's partner first, then finish off the enraged cub. Suddenly, a massive section of the ceiling shatters and hurtles downwards, as two new contestants drop through the newly formed hole in a shower of debris. Yulin watches in shock, questioning how they possibly came from the ceiling. A shadowy figure explains that a simple test required a simple solution, revealing a muscular man who just punched his way through, to his partner's utter dismay. This new pair now finds themselves facing yet another set of 8 doors, and the smaller partner admits they only found the right path through sheer luck before. He sighs, recalling how every wrong choice filled their previous room with deadly spikes. This boy clarifies he is not here to be a librarian, just someone swept up in this chaos, explaining that while he disliked his old job, at least it gave him a sense of purpose. His muscular companion turns away, quietly admitting that he is completely lost. A single glint from his earring punctuates his surprising confession. A spiky-haired man carries his partner, admitting he is just as lost as him, his arm glowing with green energy as he vows they will simply find their own way forward. declaring that he was made to lead and will fulfill that purpose without hesitation. His partner sweats, questioning the logic that they have only descended a single level so far, but the leader insists their path must therefore lie somewhere down below them. Landing confidently on a ledge, he explains that their destination is now simple to reach. He points to a glowing tile in the floor, ordering his partner to jump through, but his companion, Tile, peers over the edge, terrified of the massive drop below him. Just as he hesitates, the glowing hole seals shut, trapping Tile on the upper level. Watching from below, Shoichi points out the man is now stuck and Sei smugly agrees, so she taunts the stranded leader, asking what the tough guy will do now. He just stares back blankly, confident his partner can figure out his own escape. But at that moment, a new contestant with a glowing red eye appears in a swirl of energy. Veximus curses his luck, realizing another threat has arrived and deciding to lay low. But as he turns to leave, Shoichi furiously screams that their business is not finished yet. Sei tries to de-escalate the situation, but Shoichi furiously demands to know what is more important. So Veximus points out the shadowy creepers are still coming as one looms behind him. Shoichi then yells up at the stranded leader, telling the tough guy to take care of them. And he accepts the challenge without hesitation, his eyes narrowed with intense focus. In an instant, a bolt of crackling energy zips down from the upper ledge.